And then he gives a third type of sign here in verse 14. We could call these the end of the age sign. These would be things to look for that would be unique to that period of time. And Jesus gives us a big one in verse 14, a huge example of this. When he says, "And this gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come." We talked about this last week, that the whole purpose of the last days that we are in, meaning the last 2,000 years since Jesus' resurrection, the whole purpose for this time was to take the gospel to the ends of the earth. Jesus said, "Go and make disciples of" what? All nations. Normandy, back in World War II, the beach of Normandy was a beachhead on which the Allies planted themselves. And from that place, they pushed back the Nazis, mile after mile, city after city, liberating as they went, battle after battle, conquering territory, setting captives free as they went. My friends, the hill of Calvary where Jesus died was our beachhead. And from that place, since that time, the kingdom of God has been pushing evil back, step by step, mile by mile. First Jerusalem, then Judea, then Samaria, then Asia Minor, then the Roman Empire, Africa, Europe, India, down to our time. Mile after mile, country by country, century after century, until we get to the end of it all, and the book of Revelation tells us this scene, this beautiful scene of a great multitude that nobody can count, standing before the throne of God, crying out, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. For by your blood you ransomed people from God, from every tribe, tongue, and nation." And my friends, when you look around the globe right now, and you look at all those places where the love of Christ has reached, and the word of Christ has penetrated, and the name of Christ is being lifted up and worshiped, does it not cause something inside your heart to leap for joy? Another general sign to look for, I mentioned them earlier, is Israel. Huge end times, end of the age sign. Wish I had time to explore this. In Luke's version of the Olivet Discourse of Jesus' sermon, in chapter 21 of Luke, in verse 24, he says something that sends chills down my spine when I read it. After Jerusalem's destruction, Jesus says this: "Jerusalem will be trampled underfoot by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled." In other words, Jesus is saying Jerusalem will be in the power of the Gentiles, and he suggests that it will be a long, long time. And then, at some point down the road, the Jews will get their land back. The end of the Gentiles will be fulfilled. Paul says something similar in Romans chapter 11, that God at the end will bring everything full circle in his plan of salvation. So much so that when everything is all said and done, all Israel will be included in it. I mean, read your newspapers. Israel is in the headlines all the time. And you know it's true. Israel is not on the most favored nation status list of most countries. There's a bizarre, almost unexplainable hatred toward Israel, which really can only be understood when you stand back and look at it through spiritual eyes. Another sign of the end of the age is the rise and spread of technology. A clue to us that a stage of sorts is being set. We talked about this last week, how God created us to develop technology and to use it to spread His beauty, His goodness, His love, and His truth on the earth. But then we sinned. And now, along with the love and goodness that we would spread with our technology, we also spread evil, bucketfuls of it. And so God, over the years, has kept us safe, I guess you could say, from our worst instincts by keeping back, by postponing the development of human technology. Technology is great, used rightly. I read yesterday in a New York Times article that right now, as we speak, there are 3 billion people on this planet who don't even have clean water with which to wash their hands. They can't even do the most basic thing needed to protect themselves from this virus. Oh, for a time when the technology that you and I take for granted can be taken to the whole earth. And maybe that'll be something we do Oh, in the millennium, verbal hand grenade. But technology used wrongly in the hands of a person or a government that surrendered to evil. The only reason Hitler lost World War II is because we discovered the jet engine and the nuclear bomb first. There are scenes in the book of Revelation that have always been interpreted as metaphorical. This scene of a mark that's needed on a hand or a forehead without which you couldn't buy or sell. How metaphorical, we thought. Scene in Revelation where great events are seen by the entire earth at the same time. A world power with true global dominance arising. Oh, that's just metaphor. Nowadays, the possibilities for such things extend beyond metaphor. I mean, come on, I saw Hunger Games